7 shocking signs your aura disturbs others you'll never believe. 3. In a world buzzing with unseen forces, the aura, a veil of energy surrounding every person, holds secrets that can shake the very ground beneath you. Imagine stepping into a crowded room, where tension thickens the air like fog, and you can feel people's eyes boring into your back. What if I told you that the colors swirling around you could be the cause of their discomfort? Your aura could be a bomb waiting to explode, disrupting the serenity of those nearby and leaving chaos in its wake. Like a flickering streetlight, your energy can frighten away even the bravest souls. Some might leave in silence, but others might gasp or throw worried glances your way. What's more eerie is that certain aura colors scream danger. A fiery red could ignite anger in others. A drab brown might bring about an instinctual need to flee. It's terrifying to think that your mere existence could invoke such powerful reactions. Who knew subtle hues could declare war without a single word? Then there are whispers, strange murmurs in coffee shops and busy sidewalks, where people discuss the inexplicable vibe they get from someone. This unseen magnetism can repel or attract. It's like walking into a room lit by electric blue lights. The contrast pulls at raw emotions. Your heart races with the realization that you could be the proverbial bad news for someone else. The idea that your energy could be so disruptive feels like a cold hand on your spine, right? But here's where it gets twisted. What if your aura's disturbance isn't a curse, but an unintentional call for help? In crowded places, have you ever noticed someone staring, as if trying to decipher the enigma before them? There's a mix of compassion and fear behind those eyes, and it all leads to the question: you aware of how your presence can influence someone else's world? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Now, consider the implications of carrying a lovingly warm golden aura that seems to make others smile. Yet, this warmth might fade without you even knowing, turning into a muddy, murky mass that people instinctively shy away from. What is happening behind your back? Are investments in your emotional health lost to an unaware soul? Each day feels more like a wild card with potential for both light and dark, leaving a burning question in your mind: how do you regain control of your aura and turn disturbance into delight? As you ponder this, the next sign looms closer than you think, waiting to unearth deeper mysteries. The room felt heavier now, charged with an energy that crackled like a live wire. Anna stood at the edge of the gathering, palms clammy, heart racing. The conversations around her faded into a hum, lost among the swirling colors of her aura that, she now realized, could be wreaking havoc. Her stomach twisted tight, as if it were trying to send a message through the lump lodged in her throat. Was it the gray streaks in her aura that invoked such strange reactions? The once vibrant shades of her energy had dimmed like a sunset, fading into a palette of muted despair. She caught the eye of a stranger across the room, a young woman with bright blue energy oscillating gently like a car motion. A flicker of recognition coursed through Anna. This stranger was someone who might understand, yet even as Anna took a step forward, that electric tension intensified. She could feel eyes narrowing, judgment sharpening. Was it a trick of the light, or was the room closing in on her? The whispers grew louder in her mind. What if this woman could push the shadows away, dispel the grey that clung to Anna like a shroud? But as she moved, she struggled with the nagging thought: what if her disturbance affected this stranger too? Before Anna could make a choice, the woman gave her a small, reassuring smile that somehow cut through the electric fog. That warmth, could it be genuine? But Anna hesitated. The fear of rejection seized her again. Would their connection prove to be just another ripple of chaos? She retreated, feeling like a storm cloud among a clear sky, sparking currents of negativity wherever she went. Then, from deep within the crowd, a piercing shriek sliced through the air. Everyone froze, eyes diverting toward the source, a man standing by the doorway, his face pale, eyes wide and vacant. He appeared to be in some sort of distress, as if he'd just glimpsed an apparition that stirred memories best left buried. Anna's heart pounded, terror coursing through her veins. Was the disturbance in the room her fault? Had her aura stricken him down like lightning? The crowd shifted uneasily, divided between concern and curiosity. Murmurs rippled through. What's wrong with him? Someone called for help, yet Anna felt an odd compulsion to intervene, to bridge the gap between her energy and his suffering. She pushed through the tight knot of people, desperately wanting to reach him. As she drew closer, the air electrified, a tangible surge that felt unsettling. His body trembled, hands gripping his head as if trying to ward off an unseen foe. Help me, please. His voice broke, raw and pleading. Something deep within her stirred an echo of pain reverberating against her soul. Don't fight it, she murmured, stepping cautiously, unsure whether her presence would ease his torment or magnify it. The color of her aura pulsed, flickering with uncertainty. I'm here. Just breathe. Suddenly, a wave of colors washed over him, a brilliant chartreuse, glowing fiercely, intermingling with her gray. Something deeper connected them, and Anna gasped as visions flooded her mind, flashes of fear, memories he couldn't escape, and a dark shadow that surrounded him like a curse. In that moment, she realized this darkness might not only be her fault. A seed of hope stirred, but at what cost? Would she be brave enough to fully grasp the chaotic force within, the true nature of her aura? Could her intervention plunge them both into deeper darkness, or bring them to the light? Questions hung in the air like a heavy mist, waiting to be unraveled. Would Anna find the clarity needed to confront not just her colors, but the source of this man's turmoil? As the crowd watched with bated breath, a shocking truth loomed on the horizon, shimmering tantalizingly out of reach. What lay beyond this confrontation could shake the very fabric of their existences. Anna stepped closer, drawn by an invisible thread of urgency. The man's eyes were wild like a trapped animal. With each step, the air vibrated, a blend of trepidation and something else, something almost magnetic. She could feel her gray aura trying to pull him into its depths, but she fought against it. Please, I can't breathe, he gasped, his voice barely above a whisper, raw with desperation. The faces in the crowd shifted, fingers pointing, eyes wide. The weight of their judgment pressed heavily on her. She reached out a hand tentatively, her palm facing up, an offering of connection. You're not alone. Just hold on, Anna pleaded, her own fear momentarily fading against the man's anguish. As their eyes locked, the vision inside her surged again. Images spiraled in her mind, insatiable shadows clutching at the edges, threatening to drown her in his memories. Here was a childhood tainted with betrayal, a loss so profound it cracked his very soul. These were shades she recognized. Pain was her own constant companion, lurking just beneath the surface. With their energies entangled, Anna felt the pull of darkness intensify, nearly pulling her under. Time stretched, the world around them dimmed while the crowd paled into obscurity, becoming mere silhouettes on the fringes of her vision. The shadows around him writhed as if alive, circling like hungry wolves. Fight it! She yelled, not just at him, but at the shadow. You have the strength. We can break this together. Suddenly, the man's body stiffened, and his energy flickered violently. Like spinning a dartboard, she could see colors colliding, a shimmering kaleidoscope of emotions, fear crashing against resilience, despair snarling with hope. The bright chartreuse surged stronger, momentarily piercing through the gray, before it flickered again, struggling against the oppressive gloom. For a heartbeat, it felt like they shared a single consciousness, her fears, his anguish fusing into a bitter symphony. All at once, she understood the source of his unease, a haunting presence, a lingering specter tethered to his past, dragging him deeper into darkness. Please? You need to fight. Focus on what you love. Anna shouted, her voice cracking under the weight of their shared pain. The crowd shifted nervously. Whispers turned to murmurs of concern as they witnessed the spectacle unfold before them. What is happening? Someone help them. But Anna could barely hear their words over the roar of the storm inside her mind. There was a violent lurch as the man let out a primal scream, raw and ripping through the heaviness. The chartreuse energy flared brightly for a moment, battling the shadows, pushing them back. Anna moved her hand closer, urging him on, willing her essence to intertwine with his. But then a shriek broke through the tension, peeling her focus like a dagger. A flash of white-hot pain burst in her chest, sending both her and the man tumbling back, crashing into the floor, the energy between them fracturing. The moment they fell, the shadows wailed, clawing at both of them, and Anna realized in horror their connection was fragile. She could either pull him to safety or drag them both into oblivion. The crowd gasped, a collective intake of breath. Time snapped back into focus, the air heavy with uncertainty. Would she risk everything to save him? Could she bear the cost of wielding her chaotic aura against the shadows that threatened to consume them both? Her heart raced as she searched for the courage to embrace the true nature of her power. What she didn't know was that the answer was closer than she thought, hidden beneath layers of fear and pain, waiting to emerge. How far would she go to change their fates? The world spun around her as Anna gasped for breath. Her heart thundered in her chest, the echoes of the crowd fading into a dull roar. The man beside her lay crumpled on the floor, his eyes wide with raw fear. "Get up," she urged, voice shaking. "You have to fight." But he looked lost, like a ship caught in a storm, battered by waves of anguish that no one else could see. As their energies rippled in the air, Anna could feel shadows clawing at her, hungry for her very essence. Sweat dripped down her temples, blurring her vision. The man's body twitched, and a low groan escaped his lips. The color in his aura flickered, a desperate signal tangled with agony. "Please, remember the light." She reached for him again, fingers brushing against his. A jolt of energy surged through her, amplifying the connection they had shared moments before. Just before she could pull him closer, a shadow lunged forward, a dark tendril swinging out as if it were a whip, cutting through the fragile bond they had formed. "No!" Anna shouted, scrambling on her hands and knees. The crowd watched in horrified silence, their faces painted with disbelief and confusion. Some looked ready to flee, others gripped their companions, as if anchoring themselves against an unseen storm. Pain pierced through her ribcage, an echo of the spectral claw that had swung at them. It felt like ice snapping within her. She could not falter now. Confusion stirred the crowd. "What is happening?" A voice rose, shaking and fearful. Anna locked eyes with the man once more. There was a flicker of clarity in his gaze, yet it was buried under layers of torment. She needed to reach deeper. Her shadows vibrated with need, her energy spiraled, demanding release. "Fight!" She raised her voice, channeling everything she had. "Dig deeper. Call on your love. Think of one single thing that grounds you." For a brief moment, she saw something spark within him, an ember of hope. It shimmered, brushing against the shadows like a breath of fresh air. The otherworldly grasp thinned as she held her breath, willing the aura around him to glow. But just when she thought victory was within reach, a piercing scream erupted from the man, shattering the fragile moment. "Anna!" he cried, a mix of terror and desperation lacing his voice. The shadows responded, thrumming with a malicious energy, swirling like a tornado around them, growing darker and louder. "I'm here," she shouted, trembling but resolute. "You don't have to succumb to this." But the shadows were relentless, clawing, wrapping tightly around his feet. Was it too late? What if she couldn't pull him back from the brink? The crowd lurched toward them, eyes wide with terror, uncertainty brewing in every whispered breath. Anna could sense the judgment, the fear vibrating within them, but she couldn't let it distract her. She had to act. Without thinking, Anna threw her arms wide, summoning every ounce of her chaotic energy. A pulse radiated like a lighthouse beaming through fog. She could feel fierce colors collide within her, her gray aura wrestling to maintain its grip while fragments of bright luminescence flickered at the edges. "Come to me," she yelled, voice hoarse but strong. "Let me save you." A gust of wind swept through the crowd, chilling and invigorating. The shadows shrieked in despair. They recoiled briefly, and in that moment, Anna saw it. The man's energy surged, a bright yellow breaking through the oppressive dark, illuminating their surroundings with warmth, but just as quickly as it emerged, the shadows lunged back, screaming with rage. Could she potentially lose him now, after everything? The thought sent a pang of pure dread through her. In her heart, the answer began to solidify. She would not let darkness win. As the darkness hissed and recoiled, conflict flashed within her. She could either fight with everything she had or watch this man vanish into the depths. But the greater question loomed within her: what other horrors lay beneath the surface, ready to spiral out of control the moment she unleashed her full power? The pulse of energy shook through them both, her own light flickering with uncertainty. Would this final push be their salvation, or would it plunge them both into the abyss? The crowd held its breath, but Anna's heart beat louder, the suspense thickening the air. Could the power of love truly save them, or was this confrontation only the beginning of something darker? Anna's heart raced as the chaotic energy pulsed through her, weaving in tandem with the shadows that clung to the man at her feet. She could sense every anguished breath he took, each tugging her closer to despair. And yet, in that moment, the yellow light flickered defiantly, just enough to spark hope, however fragile. "Stay with me," she begged, pulling her focus solely onto him. The darkness writhed in furious opposition, seething as though it could sense her resolve. She pushed herself forward, straining against the invisible chains that the shadows sought to bind them with. "You have so much strength. Use it." But a low rumbling filled the air, a sound that raked at her nerves. It grew louder, a cacophony of sinister whispers that echoed all around, trying to drown her out. The crowd recoiled, stepping back as if the very ground threatened to split beneath their feet. "Do you see them? They're afraid." A voice from somewhere in the mass of onlookers cried out, brimming with dread. "We should run. This is madness. Don't listen to them," she shouted, fighting against the overwhelming urge to glance at the fearful faces that surrounded her. "Focus on your light." In the flickering shadows, she caught sight of a figure lurking at the perimeter. A gaunt man, with a twisted smile that seemed to rip his face apart, watched her intently. His presence felt like a poison, absorbing the radiance they fought together. For a split second, her throat tightened, and the warmth in her heart wavered. "Who are you?" she whispered into the thrumming void, yet the figure only grinned wider, his eyes burning with malice. He raised a hand, and Anna froze as shadows began to swirl around him, drawing power right from the remnants of the light she irradiated. With every flick, she felt her own bonds succumbing, her energy beginning to slip through her fingers like sand. "No!" she screamed, adrenaline pounding through her. "You want to take him. You want to take anyone." Then she realized the man on the floor was mirroring her despair. Shadows were rising up in waves, threatening to snuff out his yellow glow once more. The air crackled with tension, electric and raw. The crowd's murmuring filled the space with indecision and terror, their unity beginning to fracture in the face of the surreal confrontation. "Remember why you're fighting. Remember who you are," Anna shouted, an ember of determination igniting within her. "You have the power to break free." The man's eyes widened in recognition, a flicker of understanding surfacing through the darkness. She felt his energy respond, pushing against the shadows that clawed at him. She could see it now, the brilliance of his aura fighting back, illuminating the thick gloom. But the gaunt man just laughed, a high-pitched cackle that echoed cruelly around the room. "Do you think mere words can save him? This is a battle for the soul. And I'll make sure it's a battle you both lose." Anna swallowed hard. Time was running out. The shadows were feeding off her fear, growing thicker, more menacing. She felt it in her bones, her light was fading. But she couldn't let them win. Not now, not ever. "Fight, damn it!" she roared, as if her very words could sever the tether binding them to despair. "Fight with everything you have. We cannot let the darkness win." Beneath her defiance, the shadows crested, and for a heartbeat, it felt like the world itself paused. Would they break through this terror together, or would they drown, dragged down by the weight of despair? The decision lay in their hands, suspended in the air like a heavy storm cloud. Anna locked eyes with the man once more, her every emotion blazing through her gaze. There was no turning back now. She had to know, could he rise to meet the challenge? Or would he submit to the darkness? The shadows twisted, and a harrowing scream erupted from the crowd, piercing the charge of energy blanketing them. "Anna!" The man's voice broke into her resolve. But before she could respond, the fabric of reality seemed to tremble, ripping through the very air they drew breath from. What had she awakened? What lay beneath the surface, waiting for its moment to erupt? The question hung heavy as the shadows began their relentless pull once more. The ground quaked as if the world itself was responding to the chaos, fissures of darkness snaking through the crowd. Anna's heart pounded like a war drum, the sound almost deafening in the oppressive gloom. She seized the moment, grasping at the flickering threads of hope still existing in the air. With a fierce determination, she stepped closer to the man, focusing all her energy, pouring light into him like a lifeline. "Don't let go," she cried again, her voice cutting through the noise. "Your light is stronger than you think. You're not alone." As she spoke, the shadows writhed and bucked, furious at her words. It was as if each syllable struck them like a whip, provoking their wrath. The gaunt man's laughter echoed, a chilling sound that bounced along the walls of the dim room. "You think hope can save you? You're blinded by your own desperation." He twisted his hand, and the shadows coiled tighter around the man, choking his brilliant glow. Panic surged within Anna as she saw the yellow light flicker precariously. She recognized the look in his eyes, a blend of fear and the tiniest glimmer of resolve. "Breathe with me," she yelled, making a deliberate effort to steady her own heartbeat. "Fight the darkness with everything you have. Picture your light." The man's fingers trembled as he willed himself to focus, struggling against the encroaching dread. She could see the shadows thrumming eagerly, a living, breathing entity desperate to engulf him. "Why won't you just fall?" the gaunt man hissed, frustration spilling into his voice. "The shadows only want to feast. Embrace the inevitability." That was perhaps the darkest moment. Anna felt despair claw at her own soul, the urge to shrink back and let the night win. Doubt slithered through her mind. What if she couldn't save him? Yet the flickering light he emitted now pushed back against the dark, just enough to send a shiver through the shadows. "I want to let it take you," she shouted, grounding herself against the gaunt figure's threat. The crowd gasped, flinching at the shadow's violent shudder. They were witnesses to the battle unfolding. Faces twisted in stark fear, whispering murmurings fleeing from lips like ashes on the wind. "We should go," someone shouted. "This is madness." If they ran, the darkness would only grow. Anna felt the weight of the crowd's collective dread pressing down upon her, but she couldn't let despair take root. "Stay. We need to stand together. Light prevails when we unite." The man's features hardened, determination solidifying in what had once been a look of despair. He sucked in a deep breath, gathering fragments of light that resonated through his skin. With renewed strength, he focused on her, his gaze igniting like a torch. "Now. Name your light," he roared, the yellow aura bathing them in a golden haze that pushed against the suffocating shadows. As the light surged, the gaunt man stumbled back, his smile faltering, eyes reflecting anguish and fury as the tendrils of darkness hissed and recoiled. But Anna couldn't savor the moment. The shadows hissed in retaliation, thrashing violently, ready to unleash their full power. The air crackled with a raw energy, the atmosphere thick and stifling. Together she whispered, locking eyes with the man. Just as he nodded, the darkness reared back, summoning the storm for one final, devastating push, but before they could unleash their light in unity, the gaunt man raised an ominous finger. "You've awakened something you can't comprehend," he sneered, the shadows spiraling around him forming grotesque shapes. "What lies beneath will be your undoing." As the ground trembled and the shadows lunged forward, Anna braced herself. What had they truly awakened? The darkness promised to unleash all its horrors, and in that moment, as reality began to unravel, Anna felt a bone-chilling certainty this was far from over. The shadows lunged like ravenous wolves, their twisted forms unfurling in the dim light. Anna felt a wave of cold wash over her, the kind that wrapped around her chest and tightened like a vice. "Hold on!" she managed to shout, her voice barely piercing the howling chaos. She felt the ground beneath her feet tremble, threatening to collapse under the weight of darkness. As the shadows surged, she sensed fear rippling through the crowd, eyes wide, mouths agape in silent screams. Was it her imagination, or did the air become heavier, thick with terror? Each heartbeat seemed to echo the undeniable truth: they were on the brink of disaster. "Together!" she shouted, desperation flooding her voice. The man beside her, once gaunt and trembling, had transformed into a figure of wild determination. He threw back his shoulders, the light around him pulsating like a heartbeat threatening to break free. In that electric moment, the shadows hesitated, as if sensing the shift, recoiling just enough for hope to flicker. The gaunt man's voice thundered, merging with Anna's, weaving a tapestry of light that exploded among them. "We'll face this hell together." With their voices united, the air vibrated with resonance of fierce, brilliant energy. The light surged, cutting through the darkness as if it was slicing through a thick fog. Anna breathed in, her lungs expanding, filling with courage. But just as the shadows writhed back, retreating under the assault of newfound illumination, a spine-chilling roar erupted from deep within the ground. The earth convulsed violently, a crack splitting open near the gaunt man. From it, a pulsating darkness began to rise, as if summoned by the gaunt man's twisted intentions. "What is that?" A voice shrieked from the crowd, panic simmering. Anna's eyes widened as she caught sight of towering figures emerging, skeletal and wreathed in shadow. They loomed larger than anything she had ever seen, like nightmares given form. Each movement they made sent ripples of fear across the collective consciousness of onlookers. "No. We can't let them," Anna urged, her voice taut with urgency. The gaunt man, still locked in the thrall of shadows, glanced her way, confusion staining his fierce expression. But the moment of distraction was fatal. The towering specters lunged forward. A piercing scream split the air as they wrapped tendrils of darkness around an unfortunate spectator, dragging them into the encroaching void. "No!" Anna screamed, her heart wrenching. She had to act. She felt her fists clench, energy surging through her. "We need to fight. Every one of you." She raised her arms, channeling light into the trembling crowd. "Think of your loved ones, hold on to what you believe in. We can push this back." Around her, the whispers surged into shouts. With every flicker of light she sent into the crowd, she felt the hum of hope begin to amplify, pulsating brightly against the encroaching darkness, but then she caught a glimpse of the gaunt man's face, twisted in a knowing smile that chilled her to the bone. "You've merely scratched the surface," he crooned, shadows curling around him like loyal pets. "You have no idea what's coming." The ground quaked violently again, sending several people sprawling. The emerging terror from the abyss loomed larger, a storm of shadows that began to spiral up, twisting around buildings and dimming lights, suffocating all hope. Strangled gasps filled the air. Faces around her distorted, betraying despair mingling with disbelief. Anna felt it, too, an absence, a gnawing dread spreading like a disease. "Together!" She shouted again, her throat raw. "Find your lights!" And just as she thought they were about to succeed, a tremendous roar shook the very fabric of their reality. The shadows surged forward, engulfing more souls. Anna's heart raced, fear pulsing through her veins. What had they awakened? Would they be consumed by the very darkness they sought to fight? The overwhelming force of the night pressed closer, smothering all hope. And as the crowd began to falter, doubt seeping into their hearts, Anna realized this battle was only the beginning. Unknowingly, she had unlocked something malevolent, and its hunger was insatiable. What would happen next? Would they rise or fall to the shadows? The answer hung in the air, thick with tension, waiting to reveal itself. The ground beneath Anna quaked again, each tremor sending icy shivers up her spine. Panic saturated the air, a viscous tide that seemed to swallow hope whole. The crowd surged back, a wave of frightened bodies colliding into one another. Desperation clung to them like a second skin, their terror pushing against Anna's resolve. "Don't look away!" she shouted, voice strained with urgency. "Focus! We can't lose our light!" She reached out, grabbing a nearby woman who looked ready to flee. "You! Light! Fight with me! Think of your family, your children!" The woman's eyes were filled with fear, but Anna could see a flicker, a small spark fighting to break free. The woman closed her eyes, breathing deeply, trying desperately to summon that light within her. Around them, shadows twisted like serpents, wrapping around lampposts, the stark flicker of streetlight stuttering with the pressure. The skeletal figures were advancing, their eyes glowing with an insatiable need. They were hungry. and every moment spent in horror only fed their ravenous shadows. "What are they?" someone cried out, voice trembling like a leaf in a storm. "Monsters!" another yelled as they stumbled back, falling and clawing at the ground to get away. But Anna fought to stay anchored as the dread moaned through the crowd. The gaunt man stood, a puppet master reveling in the chaos, a cruel smirk carved into his features. "You can't escape your fate," he howled, the shadows swirling energetically around him, accentuating the madness etched on his face. With a deep breath, Anna stepped forward, raising both hands high. She channeled every ounce of defiance she could muster. "We will not be consumed. We're stronger than this." Her voice rang out, fierce and unyielding, echoing through the thick haze of despair that smothered them. In that heartbeat, light erupted from the group, a warm glow radiating from hands both small and large as they reached deep within, summoning the strength they almost forgot they possessed. It bathed the gathering in an ethereal hue, a tapestry of human connectivity blazing brightly against the encroaching darkness, but the towering figures only shrieked louder, drawn closer, a twisted collective mass that split the air like a thunderous clap. The shadows whipped around them with unrelenting fury, but Anna felt the energy of the crowd surge, vibrating in tandem with her pulse. "Stand firm!" she yelled, her heart pounding, faith reverberating in the air. "Stay together. Love is our shield." The pulse of light grew stronger, illuminating their resolve despite the creeping tide of fear that wanted to pull them apart. The shadows recoiled for a moment, as if recoiling from the collective warmth that ignited the freezing depths of their terror. "Fight back!" the gaunt man growled, his face flushed with rage. The ground beneath him darkened further, pulsating menacingly like a heartbeat quickening, and he slammed his hand down. A sudden jolt shot through the earth, and Anna lost her footing, falling against someone beside her. The force was overwhelming, jolting through every inch of her body, as the shadows around them coiled tighter, adapting, shifting, and readying to plunge deeper into the chaos. "What are they doing?" a voice quaked through the crowd as confusion invaded their lighted strength. Anna's gaze shot back to the gaunt man, who stood grinning, his shadow-tinged hands weaving through the air like a conductor orchestrating a dark symphony. "You're only delaying the inevitable," he taunted. "You think this light can save you?" But within her, a fierce fire ignited. She could feel the collective heartbeat pushing against the shadows, a relentless determination kindled from their fear. "We're not afraid. Our light will not go out." And in a moment that felt suspended in time, as doubt clawed its way into their hearts, she felt the weight of 1,000 hopes. With one powerful shout, the crowd erupted. Voices resounded, intertwining, rising above the shadows. As they united in their defiance, the ground shook again. Would it withstand the clash between light and darkness? Just as it seemed the tide might turn in favor of the light, a deep rumbling echoed beneath them. Anna's heart sank as the gaunt man's laughter clawed at her ears, twisting every ounce of her hope. "We are just getting started." Something deep beneath the wreckage of the earth was awakening, and this time, it may just turn the very light they cherished against them. What lay beneath might be worse than the shadows they fought. Were they truly prepared for what was coming next? The ground heaved, a titan awakening from a long slumber, and Anna gasped as the world around her trembled. Panic blossomed anew, a seed of dread spreading rapidly through the crowd. She could feel fear seeping into her bones, threatening to choke the light they de-summoned. "Stay close," she shouted, voice cutting through the clamor. Each syllable was a lifeline dragging them back from the brink. People clung to one another, forming a wavering tether against the chaos. In a heartbeat, the shadows shifted. They pulsed like a living thing, undulating and seeking, groping for the weakness they instinctively sensed. Anna scanned the faces around her, searching for resolve. "You must hold on. Think of the moments you cherish. The laughter, the love. That's your light." A murmur rippled through the group, voices beginning to rise in fervent agreement. If only they could channel that to push back the encroaching darkness, but the gaunt man raised a finger, and the shadows lurched forward, streaks of darkness sweeping in like a storm. A shudder ran through Anna's core. "Do you feel it?" someone whimpered, eyes wide with horror. "What the hell is happening?" Another cried out, panic rising like a wave crashing against a crumbling shore. With every ounce of will, Anna shoved aside her own fears. Fight it. We have to stand together. Her pleading tone cracked under the pressure of mounting dread. What is that? Someone yelled, pointing above. The ground erupted as jagged rocks and debris burst forth like demonic hands clawing at the sky. The noise was deafening, a continuous roar of destruction. Dust billowed up, filling the air, obscuring vision and choking breaths, swirling around them like a whirlwind, ensnaring the desperate cries of those around. Get back! Another woman shrieked, her voice drowned in the chaos as she stumbled, struggling to shield a child. The girl clutched her mother's leg, wide-eyed and paralyzed with fear, like a deer caught in headlights. No? Anna cried as she lunged forward, pushing against the tide, reaching for the child. With a firm grip, she pulled them both closer, forcing them into the protective circle that flickered like a dying flame. What is happening? The child whimpered, eyes darting, full of confusion and dread. It's okay. We're here. We are stronger together. Anna managed to sound hopeful, but uncertainty knotted tight in her chest with that vulnerability. The shadows grew louder, feeding on her fear. The gaunt man's laughter filled the air, warped and twisted, an echo of ice that froze Anna's heart. You can't hold back the tide forever. And just like that, a growling presence stirred from beneath, a void so deep it devoured sound and overwhelming blackness rising from the fissures in the earth. With every crack, the shadows seemed to leap, eager for a taste of despair. Fight! Anna screamed, stretching her arms out once more, summoning every bit of bravery gathered within. Together. We must show them. Bright beams shot from the crowd again, but this time they flickered like candles in a storm, a brave effort wavering against brutal winds. The darkness surged forward, hungry and insatiable, then, with a thunder that rattled through the very marrow of their bones, the ground bulged. A grotesque figure emerged, grotesque and monstrous, writhing in shadows. It held a dagger of gloom, glinting wickedly in the faint light. No one moved. Heartbeats raced like stampedes, drowning out the world around. As the monstrous figure hovered in front of them, its laughter a cruel, crawling sound slithered into their ears. Anna's breath hitched. What is that? And in that eye of chaos, the eerie silence roared like a tide beneath the dread as eyes turned toward the nightmare manifested before them. Would their light prove strong enough against such unrelenting darkness? Just when hope seemed to dim, the gaunt man raised his hand. A sinister ritual was about to commence, and its evil flickered like flint poised to ignite destruction. All at once, the question hung heavy in the air: could they face the very darkness from within that would threaten everything they loved? What other horrors waited, coiled and ready to strike in the shadows? The ground trembled violently beneath Anna's feet, a chaotic symphony of destruction unfolding before her. Shadows grew and twisted, merging into a colossal figure that loomed over the crowd. Its grotesque silhouette bathed the gathering in a cloak of dread, and time slowed to a crawl as fear seeped into every heart. The echoes of terrified whispers turned into a haunting chorus, a symphony of despair climaxing in resonance with their chaotic surroundings. Hold tight! Anna shouted, her voice rising above the tumult. Remember the light we've built together. She could feel the flickers of energy around her, tiny sparks in the overwhelming darkness, and she fought to keep her own fear at bay. The crowd began to sway, a murmuring tide of collective dread, but she saw the determination flickering among them like a candle fighting against a storm. Then, from the depths of that terrible shadow, the gaunt man's twisted laughter broke through the air, piercing her determination. You think you can face this darkness? You're nothing but moths drawn to a flame. This is your reckoning. But as the monstrous figure raised its dagger of gloom, a rush of defiance washed over Anna. We will not fall. Stand together, now. She reached out, linking hands with those around her. The warmth of their grips grounded her, and she felt the pulse of hope transmit through her body, igniting a fire that chased away the chill of despair. In that split second, the collective energy surged, weaving together into a tapestry of light that enveloped them. Each beam danced like a star, coalescing into a radiant shield against the encroaching darkness. Anna pushed all her strength into that luminous orb, feeling their shared love, hope, and resilience take form. The shadows recoiled, as if sensing the power gathering against them. For the first time, she sensed a crack in the facade of dread. Together. Someone near her echoed Anna's resolve, and lifted a hand, channeling their own warmth into the circle. The air thickened with energy, and a blinding radiance surged upward, piercing the ominous shroud that threatened to consume everything. A ferocious roar erupted from the giant shadow, its form twisting in sudden fury, but the light held strong. Push through. Don't let them win. Anna shouted, her voice fierce against the storm. With a shared breath, the crowd pushed their light forward. The energy surged powerfully, striking the monstrous figure and illuminating the dark crevices clinging to its form. Raw emotions twisted in her gut, fear, but also unyielding belief. At that moment, she felt the rippling connection of life whose threads stretched far beyond them, intertwining into something utterly transcendent. Then came an enormous impact as their collective light met the darkness, exploding in dazzling brilliance. The gaunt man's eyes went wide, disbelief etched across his features. No? The shadows cannot be extinguished. Yet, despite his shriek, the power of their unity consumed the darkness. With one final pulse, the shadows erupted into a kaleidoscopic burst, light chasing away every tendril of despair that had plagued them. In an overwhelming wave of shimmering brilliance, the evil dissipated, swirling away like smoke caught in a warm breeze. Anna dropped to her knees, breathless as the last echoes of darkness faded into the ether. She blinked against the brightness, letting tears slip down her cheeks, overwhelmed by the enormity of what they had just faced. Around her, people began stirring, their faces illuminated with awe and disbelief. Did we really do it? Someone whispered, hands trembling with a mix of triumph and fear. The gaunt man, now stripped of his power, slumped into the shadows, a mere shell of his former self. His dark visage began to disintegrate, and for the first time, Anna felt relief wash over her. They had faced the abyss, and together had won. A wave of camaraderie swept through the crowd as they embraced one another, releasing the tension that had held them hostage. As the last remnants of chaos faded into the faint light of dawn, Anna stood, chest tight with emotions. Let us not forget this day, she urged, her voice steady yet vulnerable. We are stronger united. Our light can overcome any darkness. The crowd, once filled with shock, erupted into cheers, filled with hope and determination. Friends clung to one another, strangers became allies, and as the sun rose above the horizon, illuminating a brand new day, they all remembered the true strength that arose from connection, love, and shared spirit. Anna took a deep breath. It was time to heal, to grow, and to honor the power they possessed together. As the first rays of sunlight streamed through, illuminating the world with hope, she felt the warmth of each interaction lingering in the air. They had confronted the shadows and emerged not just as survivors, but champions ready to light the way for others, and in this moment, Anna understood. The journey wasn't over, not by a long shot. They would forge a path forward, a vigilant community with hearts forever intertwined to confront whatever darkness lay ahead. So they stood together, united, eyes fixed on the brightening horizon, knowing that they could face anything as long as they carried their light forward. But don't let this be the end for you. If you want to dive deeper into stories like this one, you need to subscribe now. Join our community, smash that like button to fuel the algorithm, and let us keep the conversation alive. Flood the comments below with your thoughts and theories about this conclusion. We want to hear from every one of you. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this empowering ending. Your support makes all the difference, and your presence is what keeps this light shining.